I'm Greg Jones, and this is The Capital Machine, where execution friction becomes strategic growth.
All right. Hey, Thom. This is Thom here, former retired Navy SEAL, and he's here to talk to us today a little bit about his origin story and what brought him to where he's at today. Hi there, Thom. How are you?
Hey, Greg. How are you?
Good. So what was young Thom Shea like growing up?
I would have to put some dates to it. I think I grew up in the greatest time in U.S. history. And I don't say that tongue in cheek. I grew up in a small town in southern Indiana, not quite south, but southern Indiana. It was about a mile long. It was a farming community. And we'd moved up from Texas when I was 9. And I had freedom. And unlike what kids have now, like real freedom, and to the point where you leave the house in the morning and come back at night. And if you were in trouble, everybody would find out because it was a small town. And that allowed me to stretch my arms and do things that current kids can't do. And when the winter of my 9th year, so 9 rolling into 10 years old, I had a trap line, trapping fur, mink, muskrat, raccoon, fox, as a 9-year-old. And that very shaping to me because it shaped me into somebody that I liked the outside more than I liked the inside. And a lot of people don't remember the time, there was no phone. It was a stretch cord phone, or it was a dial phone that was right on the wall. So you couldn't do that. And TV was still, you have to get up to turn the channel with your fingers and all analog. So there wasn't a lot to do inside. And that was a great advantage to me. As a kid, I began to shape my future destiny of being really good outside and really enjoying the out of doors and the hardship of the weather and the cold and the bugs that the current generation flees from those conversations. Yeah.
So you've had a very long career and you're retired. How many years have you been retired from the SEALs?
We got out. So I was in the teams for 23 years.
Oh, wow.
And I got out in 2014, so close to 11 years.
So what first drew you to the idea of becoming a Navy SEAL? And was there a defining moment or influence that helped drive that?
Let's figure out what the heck SEALs are. At the time, so you have to give it a distinct conversation. Now you can research, and we were talking offline, AI will give you all the information that you want everywhere. Right. You don't even need a degree. You can find out anything. But back in the 70s when I grew up, you couldn't find out anything unless you knew somebody that was that. If you didn't know an athlete or an Olympic athlete, you saw it in black and white on TV once every 4 years. That was it.
Right.
I happened to grow up, my dad had been a West Point grad, and his commanding officer had been a SEAL before converting to the Army. And he was a SEAL in World War II before we were called SEALs. He went through training as a 17-year-old, which I still can't fathom how that happened. And he was a tough dude. So I grew up hanging out with this guy that was on Iwo Jima, Guadalcanal. He was captured, had his feet skinned during the capturing so that he wouldn't run, and he ran away. So this dude is how my mind got oriented towards something that I thought would be cool to do in hearing the stories. And he was not a great dude, had issues galore like all other combat vets. But he took a liking to me. And so I had wanted to be, in my brain as a young kid, I wanted to be outdoorsy. I wanted to be a warrior, whatever the hell that means to human beings at any age, because you don't know until you go. And that shaping of that nice, nimble brain of wanting to go and do hard, incredible things, that was how my youth was and how I initiated starting thinking about being a warrior, which took me into, my dad wouldn't let me go. He said, there's no way. only 10% of the people pass it. There's no way I'm going to let you do that as an 18-year-old. And so I still wanted to be a warrior. And so I was a good football player, and I got picked up to play football at West Point. So I went and played there for 3 years. And I failed out in English. As an adult, I look back and say, I didn't fail out in English. I just gave up. And that was what I can then later say. They turned me out, but it was overwhelming to me, too difficult. And I just let my energy slip and ended up getting an F. And then they're like, bye. And which leads to this conversation.
Right.
During that downtime, which I think every human being needs to hit a sandy bottom, try something and it not work out. And then a rocky bottom is where you break everything.
Right.
And you can't continue. So a sandy bottom means I tried something and it didn't work. So now you're left with nothing, but you can do something. It's not like you're broken and fractured and your brain doesn't work and you're on drugs and you can't recover. So the ability to recover, to recover from a sandy hit. I come to home having flunked out, and that guy named Pat Tomlinson, that ex-SEAL, he said, "What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Man, I want to be a SEAL." And he goes, "Sign up right now."
Nice.
And I'm like, "God damn, I can't swim, Pat." He goes, "You'll never learn anything until you have to," which is I've seen that for the rest of my life. Unless there's no other alternative, you won't do anything anyway.
Right.
Or you'll do half things, and that conversation.
Absolutely.
And I didn't sign up. I was like, man, Dad didn't really want me to, and use the environment to condition me not to pursue something that was there. I got a degree from Ball State in exercise science and physiology. And in my final semester, I'm like, I do not want to work in this field. I don't want to sit behind a desk. I don't want to be inside. And I must have had a moment of reprieve. I went down to the Navy recruiting office, not telling anybody. I'm just going to sign up. I'm going to give myself no alternative. And I signed. There happened to be a SEAL passing through, a recruiter.
Nice.
I walk into the office and I'm like, "Hey, I want to be a SEAL." And everybody turned and looked at me. And the guy turns around and said, "Can you pass the test?" I'm like, "What do you mean, what test?" "You got to pass the test before we can give you a contract." And I looked at the parameters of the test, which is not very difficult. It's a 1.5 mile run in a certain time, max push-ups in 2 minutes, max sit-ups in 2 minutes, max pull-ups, and a 500-yard swim. I'm like, I can't pass a swim. And he goes, "Until you pass the test, I can't sign you up. You got to demonstrate to me that you can pass." And I'm like, another defeat. And anybody listen to this, you try something, you want something, and then the environment crushes you. The key is you got to stay at it.
Right.
And 3 months, my last semester in school, 3 months of swimming like 5 days a week, near drowning. I hate this. This is wrong. And this internal dialogue conversation is not helpful. I hate this. Isn't for me. I should just quit on this. And the lifeguard took pity on me. She goes, "I'm embarrassed to watch you. Can I teach you how to swim?" So about a 1.5 months of concentrated effort of having a coach teach me how to do something that I wanted to do, I finally was able to pass the test.
Nice.
And passed all the tests, took the ASVAB, got a high enough score to get into the SEAL program.
Very cool.
And that is a long story, but I think that's relevant to everybody has that story.
Absolutely.
Then I tried it, didn't work out. How many times did you try it? Once.
Yeah.
Bro, it's never going to work the first 80 times. You got to go to the 90, 100 time level.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's that Thomas Edison lessons with the light bulbs.
Oh, hell yeah. 9,999 fails.
Yep. One success.
Yep.
So much wisdom in that. Valuable lessons. So were there any early failures or lessons that kind of later shaped you as a SEAL as you were in the teams?
I think there were so many that were the same lesson, if you believe in God or not. God gives you one lesson to learn. Boy, if you ain't going to learn it, I can't give you the second lesson. I hadn't learned to recover from failure yet. And I say that more as an adult looking back than at the moment. It didn't feel that great. So I went into the Navy boot camp. At the time, I had to have called an A school. So I went to the Corps school up in Chicago to learn how to work in a hospital and learn medicine. And then I show up to SEAL training for class 195 startup, and very hard. We started out that class, and I say it this way, it'll make sense. So I was in multiple classes, multiple hell weeks. The first one, we started out with 150. We made it to hell week with 38.
Wow.
And I got injured in hell week. And I got a concussion, woke up in the ambulance going to the hospital. And the only thing they didn't give a shit if I was okay. Are you going to quit or are you going to stay? I'm like, where am I? I'm not going to quit. They're like, okay, we're taking you to the hospital. You got to report in tomorrow morning to first phase office. Either sign up to quit or sign up to start over. That night was horrific. I do not want to start over. There's no way I can do that again. It's so hard to do the first time without injury. And I'd called Pat on the phone that night, and I said, hey, it didn't work out. He goes, why didn't it work out? I said, I got a concussion, and they're wanting me to leave. He goes, they're always going to try to make you quit, but it's up to you. And I'm like, Pat, there's no way to do that again. He goes, then quit. He said, if you quit this, you'll never start anything hard again. And I'm like, oh, God. So I went in the next morning and didn't sign the I quit chit. And they're like, okay, you get 2 weeks off, and then you got to start from zero again. So I started from zero again, class 196. It was even harder the second time because they did not like the class for some reason. And I had a comparative analysis from the first to the second, and it was brutal. We started out with 160, got to hell week with a little more, I think about 60. And I dislocated my shoulder. And I tried and tried. I wasn't going to quit. They knew I wasn't going to quit. I just couldn't lift. It stayed dislocated for 2 days. And the doc said, if you don't get it above your shoulder, I have to pull you out and relocate it because you're going to lose your arm. Because it was black and blue. And I remember it being painful, but I had gone to a separate place in my brain that I didn't care. And I couldn't get my shoulder up or my hand up above my head. And they pulled me out and took me to the hospital and put it back in. And they're like, are you going to quit or stay? And I'm like, I know from medicine you can't recover from a shoulder dislocation. They're like, okay, cool. Are you going to quit or stay? Or do you want us to medically kick you out of the Navy? I'm like, is that an option? He goes, yeah, there's no way your shoulder's going to recover. And I'm like, the fuck? That's what everybody faces.
Right. Yeah.
The environment is always telling you no. And if you stop listening, something new can happen. So that was the big lesson there. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to quit. If I don't quit, then I have a unique opportunity. So I got to recover for a whole class. Missed class 197, got to 198. Now it's cold. Those two were summer classes. Now it's cold in San Diego. And class up 198, feeling great, got my shoulder to recover, make it to hell week, and got pneumonia.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, what lesson am I supposed to learn here? I'm not a SEAL, I'm stupid, or what happens if you don't quit? And they pulled me out medically. It says, you're done. And I was in the hospital for about a week. And they said, all right, do you want us to medically roll you out of the Navy or do you want to start again? I'm like, I have pneumonia. There's no way to start. And I only had a week to recover.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, there's no way. There's no way. And I called Pat. And He said, anybody can quit. You know what's going to happen when you quit? It'll be comfortable.
Yep.
You'll go back to some easier lifestyle, or you'll continue, and you won't know what's going to happen. And so I'm like, okay, that's the lesson God's trying to teach me. Just don't quit. I didn't quit, started class 199 with pneumonia, and I was a pretty good athlete. I failed everything that class. They didn't care. They beat me just like they'd never seen me before, treat me like I wasn't a veteran, make it to Hell Week again, and I couldn't continue. And I ended up in the hospital again, and one of the chiefs of the first phase came to the hospital and said, we got to medically roll you out of training. You can't recover, because I had 5 of my lobes about 30% infiltrated with fluid. There was scar tissue in my lungs. And they're like, we know you're not a quitter. We're not going to kick you out of the Navy, but you can't come back to training. So I was supposed to stay out a year or 2 years. And about 3 months into working at the hospital in San Diego, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back. So every day, which ended up being for 9 months, I'd go to the admiral's office with a request to go back to training. About halfway through that, he came out and said, you can't come back here. I'm ordering you not to come back here. And I can't let you go for 2 years, because the Navy needs you here, needs the Navy, whatever the hell that means. And so I thought about it, and I went back in on Monday and sat in his office. And he came out and he goes, I'm going to give you admiral's mass and take your rank from you because you're disobeying a direct order. And I'm like, okay. So I got demoted, and that was on a Thursday. On Friday, right after the board, I was sitting in his office again. And he couldn't even look at me, like, what a moron. So about a month and a half of him avoiding eye contact with me, he came out literally on a Friday and grabbed the chit from me, or the request to go back, and signed it and said, either you're going to make it through because you're meant to go through, or I just want you out of my fucking hair.
Nice.
And I made it back, class 207, and it wasn't easier.
Right.
It wasn't. I knew everything that was going to happen, didn't make it easier. It was very difficult. We started out with 111 and graduated 11.
Wow. That's incredible.
And one of the
you
lessons,
made it through that time.
the key, I swear to God, everybody can learn this lesson. What would your life be like if you didn't quit? We quit on everything all the time. And that lesson became the baseline way for me to think in combat, as a man, as a human being. Everything sucks. Just don't quit.
Right.
Quitting doesn't make it go away. It just changes it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's powerful.
And I don't know if that answers the question.
It does, absolutely. Yeah. That's astonishing. What a journey that you've taken. What a powerful lesson. Even if you just came away with that one lesson, and I'm sure there's tons of lessons that you came out of that with, but it's such a powerful lesson that I assume has become a major anchor in your life. And
then you begin to look into what makes people quit, not being prepared, bad this, bad that. And I think the details are rather irrelevant compared to, you have two choices: quit or continue. And looking at those two choices all the time makes you wise.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because, and I've quit on things.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm like, nah, I'm out. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Sometimes that's the wise decision.
100%.
You know?
I'm going to walk away from this. I'm not going to continue.
Fail fast.
Good, bad, indifferent reasons.
Yeah.
But it just takes that scenario out. It'll give you the same scenario over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you served for 23 years and you were in multiple wars. What do you think most people misunderstand about life in the teams or life as a SEAL? Because with TV and movies, some of that gets glamorized. What do you think that people today most misunderstand?
I wouldn't have been able to answer it this way on the inside. So on the inside, you just have the perspective of war.
Right.
Because you're training for war or going to war, you're training for war or you're going back to it. So that's the cycle of being a SEAL.
Right.
On the outside, what's missing is it's the same lifestyle of anybody in business. If you're in a business, it's the same feeling of being a warrior where it's ominous. So you're either involved in getting better all the time, and then going to, if you're in mergers and acquisitions, if you're in product development, it's ominous all the time. And then you execute on it, you learn from it, and then you go back to this ominous, oppressive, I have to make the threshold, I have to do this, I'm working my ass off, and then you sell something. Then it's cool for a while, and then you go back to selling, or that ominous thing that is there. So there's nothing unique about the lifestyle. It's all day, all the time. And it's the same as anybody else's lifestyle who's leaning into their work. Yeah, I don't know. I've never worked at a gas station. Maybe it is the same, but I see all humans to be the same. So it's hard work, and then there's a break. Then there's hard work, and then there's a break. The other thing that people don't understand is you don't think about dying very much. And they do a good job of teaching you, if you stop worrying about all the threats in the world, it makes a big difference.
Right.
And so how they teach you, they overtly teach you by threatening you all the time.
Right. So
you're going to die on this training mission. You could die, and you have to execute the target by a certain time doing these things. If not, we're going to punish you. So all that is going on for the 2 years leading into going on a combat deployment.
Right.
So you're so used to somebody threatening to kill you. You're like, oh, just stand in line. The last training mission, we all were going to die. We didn't die. We'll figure out a way into this and through it somehow. That's what's missing. Is it's not this ominous threat of you're going to die all the time, unless you're like a National Guard you're married and you have 4 kids and you get called up, and then a week later you're in combat. That would be rough. I cannot imagine going from a family man to a combat environment overnight. But as a SEAL, you're always in that environment.
Yeah.
3 weeks out of every month, you're in a combat scenario in your brain.
Yeah.
Working at night, being tired, being shot at, booms and bangs, and jumping out of airplanes and in the water and being miserable. So by the time you go over to either Kosovo or Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever the theaters are, it's familiar. And you never feel like you're going to lose either, which is a phenomenon. You never feel like you're going to lose.
Yeah,
and in business, I've noticed that you feel like you're going to lose a lot.
Right.
And being in SEAL teams, every target you're going to work, it's going to work.
Yeah.
And that makes for an interesting living or lifestyle when everybody there agrees that we're outnumbered 30-1. Dude, you got 20 rounds. I got 20 rounds. We're gonna be okay.
We're good.
But yeah, that's what's missing.
Yeah. So you were handpicked to lead the SEAL Sniper course. What made you an effective trainer of elite performers, and what did that experience teach you?
I think what I enjoyed about teaching sniping, and sniping falls into 3 buckets. Your ability to maneuver on a target and get close and shoot it undetected. Your ability to engage targets at really long range effectively. And your ability to think through from beginning to end something that is most humans can't think about. Like most humans don't think about going in and killing something, or most people don't think about robbing a bank. So that your maybe called executive function, your ability to process things prior to them happening in nth degree detail. That's what a sniper is. Those 3 blocks, or those legs on the stool of being a sniper. What I brought to the table that I don't think everybody appreciated, because I know I wasn't liked that much, is all the instructors had to demonstrate the skill to me before they could teach it. I don't care if you've already been an instructor. I don't care if you've been in 20 years. You have to demonstrate to me, and then you have to demonstrate to the student first. I don't want you just to be some project manager where you don't know what the hell you're doing. And that kind of shook up people. A positive way of saying that is lead by example.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you can't do it, don't expect anybody else to do it. And when I took over the course, it was about a 50% graduation rate. And when I left, we had 90% graduation rate.
Oh, wow.
Because I made it harder.
Sure.
And I made the instructors demonstrate. And once those two abilities come into play, isn't it easier to learn from somebody that's good or better than you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And they learn from you and you learn from them, as opposed to just checking off a block. He hit or missed. I have no idea how he did, but I took the accountant side of it away and made it responsible. So if your student's not making the grade, it's your problem, not the students.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed shooting.
That's cool.
And quite a bit of shooting over in theater. And when I got back from Afghanistan in 2009, took over the course for 2 years.
Yeah.
But the politics is not fun.
No,
Other than that, it's fun. Yeah.
I can't even imagine the politics. Yeah. Speaking of theater, can you walk us through one of your most defining or difficult missions and what that taught you about leadership under pressure?
So in 2009, I had a 22-man platoon, and we were called to, our tasking was to kill over 200 Taliban, which was a great, clear tasking. Whatever it takes in Afghanistan to kill Taliban, we'll let you go do that. And we were about 3 months into it, and we got the tasking to go after some Chechens in central northern Afghanistan. It was about a 2-hour flight by MH-47 helos with a refuel in the middle. And we knew that there were 58 Chechen fighters, which means contracted. They weren't from Afghanistan. They were brought in, much like SEALs were brought in from the outside, already trained. And they were operating with impunity in central Afghanistan. So we're like, hey, we know where they are. Let's just go get them. And we'd won every battle up to then, which is a great leadership lesson. Is when you're winning, you begin to lie to yourself that you're so good that you can't lose. And we had been watching this target for about 2.5 weeks. And I made a leadership mistake. I was looking at the target on a 2-dimensional map. And I knew there were mountains there, but I didn't do tactical thinking. We can't maintain these positions because there's a mountain within 20 feet of it. And so we always land really far away from the target and then walk towards the target because it's just tactically better. And so we landed about 4 miles away from the target, and with 3 helos, 62 of us on the ground pretty quickly. As the helos take off, we were getting rocketed 4 miles away from the target.
Oh, crap.
And by this time, we're 3 months in, and what people don't understand about combat is you don't shoot back unless you have something to shoot at. Just because the fact that somebody's shooting at you, you don't want to telegraph your position. The helos take off and it's dusty. The rockets just miss us, and we're not shooting back. We coordinate ourselves to start then maneuvering towards the target area, which was supposed to take us 4 hours. It ended up taking us 8.
Holy crap.
And the plan's already gone south. Another leadership lesson is no plan makes it past the first 2 steps anyway. It's so bad in the SEAL teams that people are like, why do we even plan? We know it's not going to work.
It's going to change anyways.
We got to rehearse something. We got to think about something. And so along hiking into the target area, we ended up killing about maybe 20 Taliban on the way in, which was not part of the plan. It's exciting and all, except when you're the boss going, this is not what we supposed to be doing. We're going to run out of ammo, and we don't have any resupply yet. And who knows, they were all in one area. Now they're over here. This is not going so well. And in the back of my brain, I'm like, this is going to go bad. And so we hit the main target area, take it over, couldn't maintain the buildings that we'd predicted. So we had to keep clearing in the daytime until we found buildings that we could maintain all day.
Right.
And then we had it's the worst thing to do in combat is separate forces. So I had to separate some of my element, combine them with another element, and then we had to separate that element into a third element just to maintain enough fighting the way that we could fight throughout the day without dying. And each element could visually support another one, but not do anything about it. So the other two elements could have been in Tupelo, Mississippi, because they were not going to affect us very well.
Right.
And I was like, man, I know this is a bad decision, but it's the only decision that we can make right now. We know it's bad. It's going to go bad. Hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, everybody's going to die, literally.
Right.
So throughout the day, we're able to maintain these positions, doing really well. And we had another great leadership lesson that I did not intend to learn from this is all of our stuff is watched on satellite or Predator. So
Right.
the generals, we call it Kill TV. So they're watching this and whatever they're doing, drinking coffee or checking in and out, going, hey, these guys are doing pretty well. So they called us on the radio or the satellite phone and said, hey, we're going to pull you guys out. Great job. It was the worst thing that you could have told us. Because and I see this in business too. If you tell people they're doing well while they're doing it, they will stop
They check
doing
out.
whatever they're doing.
Yeah. Oh.
And any leader that does that, if your people are doing well while they're doing it, like in the middle of a project, don't acknowledge that they're doing well. Say, hey, all right, you guys, 4 more days, 2 more weeks, this project will be over, but we're not going to, we've achieved our goal. We're going to pull you out. They will stop. Worst thing you can do is stop. So we stopped engaging because we did well. And everything went bad. So I'd taken my body armor off and I'm chilled out. It was cool looking up, watching the bugs and watching the dogs play and looking at each other, and everybody's happy and nobody's paying attention. And we got hit by probably the worst volley of fire ever. 12 or more rockets hit within a minute, and machine gun fire had me pinned down inside a room. A rocket hits the window of the room that I'm looking out, and I'm laying on the ground, done. Like this is it. Like I couldn't move. I could hear really well, but I couldn't get my body to move. I thought I was breathing. Maybe I wasn't. I've been talking to doctors about that. They're like, you were passed out. I'm like, my eyes were open, and I remember a lot. And I just remember saying, like the F word, fuck it. It's not worth it anymore.
Right.
It's not worth fighting this game. I don't want to be here anymore. And it was very calm. And I started blacking out and then coming back to and blacking out. And then maybe the psychotic or something. My wife, Stacy, jumps on my chest out there in Afghanistan and says, don't fear dying. I want you to fight your way home. And it brought me out of this mental funk that I was in.
Right.
And so I rallied, got my weapon and body armor on and go up next to the window. And one round just barely misses me. And I'm like, damn, there's a sniper up there. And my brain then got into this game called I'm a sniper, he's a sniper. And if you can't play it as a game, it's too serious.
Right.
And so I rallied. I found out where he was. I got to a position where I could shoot. The moment I shot at him, he shot at me, knocked my helmet off, and didn't penetrate. And then I found I had to do the same thing again. So I had to maneuver into a position to shoot him again. And my first shot had killed him. And then the roof blows up, and I'm like, oh God, it's descending into hell.
Right. Yeah.
And the reason why I'm telling an elaborate story to it is if you don't give up, there's something new all the time. And I wanted to give up, like being beat down, being rocketed, being pinned down. You could convince everybody that it's the right thing to do, to give up. So
Just give up,
and I had
man.
learned that lesson. Don't give up, man. keep in the fight. You've heard all these different ways of saying stay in the game. And so I stayed in the game, rallied my guys who did not want to be in the game. We're getting beat up. We don't want to be in this game anymore. So we rallied. We ended up shooting all our rounds, all of them. And we didn't have anything to fight, and they were still coming at us. So we ended up calling a B-1 bomber into our position, and he dropped bombs closer than danger close, killed all the Taliban, wiped our building out. And the lesson that I'd learned is if you're in the game, stay.
Right.
And be in such a game that you're willing to play until the very end.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference, whether you're in business and with family or whatever. The other key lesson that's a leadership lesson is the people that you're with have to fight too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't be the only one fighting.
Yeah, everybody's got to carry their load.
Yep.
So after retiring, you ended up creating a framework around the 5 pyramids of human performance. So can you break those down and talk a little bit about those and how you drive business today with those?
So it came out of the genesis was my wife wanted me to write my version of what happened so that the family could know me in case I died. So all of 2009 in Afghanistan, I was writing notes home. And in case I died, she'd have something. But then I didn't die. So now after sniper school, it's time to retire. Stacy says, could you write that into a manuscript? And I'm like, honey, man, I failed out of West Point in English. Yeah, I can't write.
Right.
And I came at it from a guerrilla standpoint. What is relevant enough that somebody would want to learn from it or read about it?
Right.
I may be wrong. I don't think I've found out that when I wrote it, I thought I could be wrong. There are 5 areas of everybody's life. Obviously, their body is one area.
Right.
Their brain's ability to learn is another area. Business or wealth is the 3rd area. The 4th area is key relationships that you have, marriage or girlfriend, boyfriend, or people that you work with that are key. And then some spiritual condition where you are a part of something bigger than you. So those 5 areas is what I found were a framework for all human beings. And in those 5 areas, there is an already always existing code that functions those 5 areas. That is what was hard to discover. What's relevant about each of those 5 for every human being. And then I designed a program to teach this formulaic approach to people, not knowing if it could be learned or anybody would get any value from it. And from Genesis till now, it's maybe devolved, but it's evolved away from what I originally wrote about in the book called Unbreakable.
And then from that, one of the key elements that you have is the concept of 3 simple things. What are they and why are they so powerful?
The 3 simple things of execution. So in training people and learning from you and from other people that I've supported in this training, what happens in execution that you can't make things complicated, like writing code. If it's more complicated, you won't write it and it won't work anyway. And I found I had to be able to articulate in the doing of things what's not negotiable. So if you want to be healthy, what's not negotiable? And can I make it so simple that if you do it, it's catastrophically good? And then I found the concept of 3, and I had to figure out how many things can human beings learn at one time. And did a lot of reading and supportive structure where people can't learn more than 3. They can learn 1, they can learn 2, they can learn 3. If they get to 4, they can't learn anything. And a lot of ontological discoveries on how people learn. And you can focus on 3, but you can't focus on 4. So breaking down to 3, and the brain thinks about this. What's a new opportunity? What's new? What opportunities do I currently have right now? And where am I going to be in the future? Past, present, future. Another way of saying that, offense, defense, and strategy. Yep. So those 3 simple things conceptually happen in execution. So like even to the point, if you want to be really healthy, you have to work out.
Right.
And I thought it was an hour. It's actually 20 minutes. If you work out every muscle and every joint for 20 minutes, you are a different human being. And then you have to stretch. So there's 3 stretches that I had to get help with: a squat stretch, hang from a bar, and a hamstring stretch. If you do that simple stretch every day, you're a different human being.
Right.
And then the discovery of what you consume matters to your health. Eat, stretch, and work out.
Right.
Not complex.
No.
But I found out that nobody was doing them.
Right.
And so, like, even the discovery of a relationship, the 3 simple things in a relationship, aren't they crazy? So and it's been the biggest benefit to the training. If you're a boyfriend, girlfriend, or even at work, listen without judgment to somebody. Just listen. Shut your mouth, shut your judgment, and stop and listen to them. Make them say things that are important. I don't want to hear about Jenny. Do you really care about talking about Jenny's girlfriend? I don't care. Do you care? Why are we talking about it? Listen without judgment, speak without drama, and have intimacy. Just like work out, stretch, and eat well.
Right.
Those 3 things in a relationship are profound, and nobody does them.
Yeah.
If you think you know the person, you don't know the person. You knew what she was or he was yesterday, but you're not listening today.
Right.
And then structuring that as a foundational principle in those 5 areas. When you're executing in those 5 areas, you have to break it down to simple. There are complex things to do, but don't do the complex until you've done simple. And there's a long-winded way of saying simple beats complex, hands down, all the time. And nobody's doing simple.
One of the reasons why nobody's doing simple ties into my next question is, what role does internal dialogue play in human performance? And can you give an example in your own life and how you use the power of internal dialogue to succeed?
Yeah, it's so dialogue is a 2-way conversation. To have dialogue with you, you have to say something, I have to say something.
Right.
So the internal 2-way conversation, it's the conversation I'm having with me about the outside world in those 5 areas. So if you want to define it, that's how I define it. It's an internal conversation that you're having, which requires feedback. Another way to say that is what you're saying about yourself, you have to be very careful with. And the formula that I tried to describe out getting into detail, it's an internal dialogue driven formula. It's what you say matters. If you say you're fat, there's no diet that can help.
Right.
If you say there's no way this business project's going to work, there's nothing anybody can do to make it work. If you begin to see that, then you have a way to reshape things.
Right.
And so internally, controlling the language that you use internally about things or the outside world, you can actually control. I can't control what you say, but I can control what I say. And my controlling what I say transforms everything. And that's the hard part of owning your life, is that, damn, I'm the one that said this is so
Right.
it's fucked up because you said it's screwed up. That's why.
Uh-huh.
And we can't do anything about it until that language changes and it has a shape to it. Be very careful anytime you use these 4 verbs. Am, is, are, and be. If you say I am not, you're correct. If you say
Right.
you are, you're also correct. If they aren't something, that's true. So racism is built on internal dialogue.
Right.
White people are supremacists. Okay, nobody's going to change anybody's mind now. They can prove that they're not that way. You can prove blacks aren't bad. You can prove Hispanics aren't bad. You can prove women aren't bad, but not to you. If you
Right.
think women are bad, Nothing anybody can do to reshape that language but you.
Right.
And when that transformation happens, you're like, wow, you mean to tell me whites aren't supremacists? You were wrong the whole time?
Right.
So that's how it shapes things.
Right.
I
Now,
went off on a tangent, but yeah.
And you've trained and worked with a number of high performers, both in the teams and in across multiple industries now. What separates the people that are performing high from those who break? What's the key ingredient that you've noticed?
High performers have an internal dialogue that they have to have somebody help them keep shaped into the right language. High performers always have a coach, which most people don't recognize. You'll never see an Olympian do it by himself. Most high executives always have somebody helping them with their own stuff, helping them internally.
Right.
You can hire somebody to execute a project, but the top performers become masters of their internal dialogue.
Right.
The other multiple things that make you a high performer is that you execute daily. It's not 2 days a week. It's not 3 days
Right.
a week. It's not five.
Right.
It's every fucking day. That's what you do.
Right.
They have I call it non-negotiable aspect of their life. Think of Dave Goggins, that Sex SEAL, that it's not negotiable. Whether you like him or not, he can't negotiate away from that. He's got to run, take care of himself. Elon Musk, it's not negotiable. He's going to get to Mars. There's no negotiation that he's having that you could have with him that could convince him otherwise. So non-negotiable internal dialogue, and they recover from failure faster than anybody else. They want to fail, and then they recover. And then they want to fail, and then they recover.
Because of their mindset.
Yep. I definitely suck at that. I suck at it. I'm going to get better at it. And then they get better at it, and then they get back to it. As opposed to, that didn't work, 90-degree turn. God, it's going to take forever if we keep turning 90 degrees.
Yeah.
We're a step away if we'd have just taken some time. That's the differentiation. It's never genetics. It's never where you came from. It's never how much money you have. If you have the internal processing and you're not going to give up and you can recover from failure, you will get there. And everybody thinks it's more complicated. I don't think it's more complicated than that.
Yeah.
It's just hard to do.
Yeah.
And you can't do it by yourself.
And it's like you say, it's the basics. If people just master the basics, they'll be so successful in every area of their life.
And try to get in complexity.
Yeah.
Which I call red ocean. If everybody's doing it, it's way too complex and nobody's doing it. That one person, what did Bruce Lee say? I'm scared of the person who has tried this one move 10,000 times. He scares me. Somebody that's good at everything, I'm not scared about. But the one guy that has
mastered one move,
10 years of one punch, he's going to get that one punch in and you're done.
Yeah. So you work with a number of different people these days. You work with executives, businesses, individuals, athletes. How do what you experienced as a SEAL and how do your 5 pyramids of human performance translate to boardrooms and businesses today that you work with?
The human factor is how it translates. What I realized when I got out is I was never going to know coding like you. I'm so far behind that. I could take it on, but then I'm 10 years from functioning it.
Right.
The human factor, I was never going to know enough about business to be expert, like in investment, or I could, but I'm not going to take 5 years to get back up to where I could be at a 30-year-old level. And what I call the human factor is trying to make things simple. And I'm sitting on 2 boards right now. Everything is complex.
Right.
And defining, using the formula that you know about, it's not, I'm holding it from everybody. It's just too long to fucking talk about. The formulaic approach to the human factor. Are we listening to each other on a board? Now, unless you listen first, you can't function the company. And then what I found, these 2 things I thought were most relevant. It's easy to make business decisions on product development, on sales, on marketing. Those are easiest things. What was most detrimental is I had seen 80% of the executives not be healthy, and it's transcendent into business.
Right.
If you're not healthy, you can't make a great business choice, and all that money you have saved up, by the time you retire, you can't do anything anymore, and they
Right.
know it. So making executives healthy was, I call it like a 3X to their
Right.
business threshold.
Right.
And then I know it's a tough conversation. Their relationships at home were all ass. And I've gone through bad relationship things.
Yeah.
Even with my
It
current
affects
wife,
every area
when
of
it
your
falls
life.
apart, it's catastrophic. And then you double down at work because everything
Right.
sucks at home.
Right.
And getting health and the key relationships in your life functioning made business. Everybody that's gone through the training says, I have more time now. And that wasn't the attack point. Like, I wasn't trying to give you more time. And they have more time. They don't have to work so hard. They don't have to work a 30-hour day. They're more available at home, and they're healthy enough to do something with their extended family that they couldn't do, that they were avoiding doing. I got to work. I can't go on a hike with you, Dad. Or
Right.
son, I can't go on a hike. And here's a bunch of money, go to Aspen. But I can't go because
Right.
I can't anymore. Getting them back on their skis, not that I intended to do that.
Yeah.
I have all kinds of time. I don't need to be at work. I have my C-suite functioning work. I can go and enjoy myself. Once that happened, it was another like 2X factor for business production. The more the boss works, the more problems the business has. An executive should have far more time for himself or herself, because the 1-2 decisions that they make catapult a business,
Right.
as opposed to, hey boss, what color paint? If he's answering that question, he's got issues that the company can't deal with.
Yeah. So today you focus a lot of your efforts on the baseline, and a lot of the same principles have fallen over into this effort. And you talk a lot about non-negotiable daily activities, which we've already discussed. How can someone start applying what you teach in the baseline to their life today?
Yeah, so I went from teaching individuals to teaching seminars to now we started doing these off-site events.
Right.
Where we get a group of people together, immerse them in like a 3-day experience where we're projecting this baseline conversation to them in all 5 areas, and having like mastermind conversations at night on how to apply this and what difference it's going to make. The difference so to answer your question, how do you apply the baseline? How do you make complex things simple on a day-to-day basis? The idea is to find out what your baseline is. And the 2 things that we've mentioned is you got to work out,
Right.
you got to stretch, you got to eat well, you got to listen to your spouse, you got to share no bullshit with her or him, and you got to have intimacy. Those are baseline conversations.
Right.
And yeah, you have to do sales every day. You have to work on one project that you're already working on every day. And you have to have a clear future of what life would look like in a year. So that's a baseline conversation.
Right.
And you have to do it every day. So imagine a non-negotiable set of activities that you do on a day-to-day basis that are not time-sucking black holes that you have to do in those 5 areas. Once you start doing that, you're like, it's so much easier to do everything now.
Right.
That doesn't mean you don't spend an 8-hour day working on a project, but do the baseline first. And then a 20-minute workout, it's not going to make you an ultra marathon runner.
Right.
But when you do that, you're like, wow, it's a lot easier. Now when I go work out, I'm not frustrated with my back is too tight. I'm not eating improperly. I go on a 5-mile or 5-hour run. I'm on point when I'm doing that. And so I look at it as like a baseline conversation, and then I call it above the table. What you do now that's world facing. I have to deal with other human beings. I have to deal with projects that I can't quite get my finger around that are complex. So baseline beats everything. And I didn't see it 10 years ago. Now I
Right.
see it quite
Right.
differently.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's that fundamental core. So
Yeah.
what does it mean to live an unbreakable life to you? And what's one habit that someone hearing that and that wants to propel their life and start exploring this next level excellence for them, whatever that may be, what's one thing that they can start doing tomorrow to start that momentum?
It takes 21 days to make a decision.
Yeah.
One thing, do this one thing for 21 days. And here it is. I want you to work out for 20 minutes for 21 days straight. It will transform you. Even if you're already a great athlete, you don't work out every day. You take days off. You make it really hard. You make hard workouts. A very simple workout, move every muscle and every joint. Take about 20 minutes to do it. Don't worry about the stretching and eating. Fundamentally, it's the practice of making a promise and keeping it for 21 days that is the most transformative.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's the hardest thing to do for human beings. Even if you said, I'm going to turn on my home alarm every day for 21 days, you'll struggle with that. And 21 days to excellence.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle.
Yeah.
You'll learn more about yourself than you could possibly imagine.
I know that I've worked with you for a number of years, and I've done this 21-day thing so many times.
Struggle bus, isn't it?
It is a struggle bus. And we've talked about in our past conversations, all the excuses that come in. And it's amazing, the dumb, stupid excuses that come in your head. And some of them real and some of them made up. And how much that drives every day our performance was those excuses.
Yeah, I don't know if we have time, but so if I were to say anything to anybody that could be transformative, obviously being healthy matters in the long term. Having a job that you enjoy, yeah, it freaking matters. Being with the right person, yeah, it matters. All that is not possible if you don't understand those 4 excuses.
Right.
And I call it subtle, seductive, and believable. They will destroy you. The first excuse why people don't succeed at anything is this is painful. It hurts emotionally or physically. So an excuse is I've made a promise and I then excuse myself from doing it. And here's one of the excuses. So obviously you got to have made the promise. So I promised to work out. I promised to tell my wife she's pretty. Easy promise. I told her she was pretty and she said she hated me. This is too emotionally difficult for me. Therefore, on Tuesday, I won't tell her she's pretty. So pain is a real excuse. It's believable. But notice that you're not doing what you promised to do. So the second one is a catastrophic one, and everybody uses it all the time. I forgot. It's a beautiful excuse.
Right.
Dad, I forgot to bring my socks.
Yeah.
We can't go hiking now. We're going hiking.
No socks.
Sorry, we're going to go hiking.
Yeah.
I totally forgot the alarm. I'm late because I forgot. I copied and pasted wrong. I forgot to edit it. Therefore, I didn't make an A. So I forgot has crushed more efforts because it's a subtle excuse.
Right.
Hey, Dad, I forgot. Hey, Mom, I forgot. Hey, teacher, I forgot. Hey, boss, I forgot. And we let people off the hook. So the third excuse is I don't have support. And it doesn't seem like an excuse. But remember, you made the promise. Now your wife doesn't want you to do it. Fucking get support then. What does she want? Trip to Israel. Okay. If you support me doing this, we're going to Israel or Iran or wherever the hell you want to go.
Right.
The fourth one is the excuse that keeps people from real success. And it's usually like when you're running ultras, there's where there's an excuse that comes up right at the end.
Yep.
Every Olympian feels this in the right before the finish line. In combat, it's real. It's sitting in your brain right before you're doing some M&A work. We're just about there. And here's the excuse. Fuck this stuff. I fucking hate it. I don't want to do it anymore. This is stupid. So that when you hear that excuse, just remember, you said 100. Just because you're at 90 doesn't mean you can't do another 10.
Right.
And like running ultras, the last 10 miles, this is the stupidest shit you've ever done. Why am I doing this? Oh my, which then anytime you're asking why, you're excusing yourself from doing it. Why am I going through this with my family? Why am I going through this with my boss? Because you promised to. So those 4 excuses are all that I try to help people deal with. Because if you don't have them, you just go do it.
Yeah, it's powerful.
And they had taught us that in SEAL teams.
Yeah.
I'm only ranking you on you making a promise and keeping it. My wife's divorcing me. I don't give a fuck. You still have to come. My daughter is pregnant and having a baby. You promised to be here. You can always have a reason not to be here, or you can find a way to have your life not give you reasons.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That to me is, if you're going to learn anything from anybody, is to learn how not to have those 4 excuses show up on a day-to-day basis.
And I think the 21-day challenge is a great opportunity to see that, witness it, and document it and move forward anyways.
Yep. Yeah, I still can't do it everything 21 days in a row. God dang it.
Yeah. And then what's your advice when you are 16 days in and you fail? What do you recommend doing?
Right now, I say this. If you really want to do it, you got to have somebody help you on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
We're doing a project where we're investing in a company. I just have somebody that I'm paying to remind me to do something that's simple to do. Swear to God, I always forget. Hey, it's worth $1 million. You mean you forget? I just set up all these reasons that I don't have to go do that. I'll do it on Tuesday. No, bro, it's Monday. Nobody's in the office, and I don't care. You said you'd send it out at 7 o'clock in the morning. And if it's relevant enough, I pay somebody to shoot me in the back of the head if I don't.
I think that's a powerful tool. So where can people go find out and learn more about you, your books, and what you have to offer to them?
Our internet site is Thom Shea, THOMSHEA.com.
Okay.
And then I've been trying not to post on social media, but I may be getting back into it. But Frogman Out or Thom Shea on most social media platforms.
Okay. Yeah. And so speaking of big goals and human performance, what big goals do you have on your plate right now? And
I went from a runner. My physical goal while you and I were working out was probably 2 ultras a year.
Yeah.
I had stem cell therapy, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go from runner to mountain biker. So I just made that distinction. And I do 2 200-mile races a year, and I would probably rather run. Because sometimes at night, these trails, you're going to die and nobody's out there with you. But I do 2 200-mile races a year, either sanctioned or I produce myself. But this next year, 2026, I'm partnering with a guy that raises capital for real estate firms to put on these baseline events for companies. And we're going to do 20 next year.
Awesome.
Which is it's a big task. Things are real, called sales is real. The events is wonderful. I brought in
the events are fun. The sales
guys and some Green Berets and SEALs and some Marine Raiders, and it's great supporting people, but it's just fucking ominous. And now that we're empty nesters, it's not as ominous. Kids are out. They're out. It's time to get back to work.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff, man. Yeah, I really appreciate all your mentorship over the years, and it's highly valuable, and I highly recommend it to anybody that really wants to accelerate their life. So thank you for taking time and talking with me and the listeners, and I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for the stumbles to get to this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, always here.
Yep.
All right, Thom. Thank you very much, and hope you have a great day.
Thanks, Greg. See you.
Bye-bye.
I'm Greg Jones. Thanks for joining The Capital Machine. Full transcripts and frameworks at thecapitalmachine.com. For direct access, gregory.jonesaprimsec.com. See you next week.